Kuhaib Driouech. We kind of broke the news on Hotline Live, actually, when Rangers first made an offer for the PSV winger. We said it was rejected, but they were close. I think the original offer that Rangers bid was around £6 million. They've gone up to just shy of 7 million, €8 million. They've agreed the deal. The player has been given permission now to open talks. I think he's sailed through that in terms of thrashing out his personal terms, and he'll arrive in Glasgow tomorrow, we're told, for his medical and to put pen to paper. I think it's a 4-year contract. So he'll become the 10th signing since Derek McInnes took over. They're certainly not messing about. They're certainly trying to get the numbers in. They're trying to help the manager. I keep coming back to it, Danny. He's going to need more. I'm sure that we can touch on that with Andy. But what is required here is an absolute clear out. And you see it every time this Rangers team goes on the pitch. There are players there that can't be trusted. Legacy players, guys that Derek McInnes has inherited. He desperately needs more quality. I think that Driouech, I think he looks like a good one. I think he'll be a decent player. We've obviously got Yokota as well. So that's left wing and right wing has been addressed. I'm not sure that'll be the end of the wingers. There might be more to come, depending on who goes. And I think, Andy, you can bring us up to speed. I think James Penrice is something that looks as if that one might be getting close too, so that would be left back in competition for Romans.
Yeah, I mean, that's one that they've been, I think we broke the story way back sort of January time, December time, that he was somebody that was on a list Rangers were keen on. It's just been a case of trying to work their way through the list of other priority areas. I mean, obviously I was at the AGM, the general meeting today, or the shareholder meeting today, and it was made out, I think a lot of fans are frustrated about the way this summer's been done in terms of the order that players have arrived in. End of the day, the Rangers have had to wait. They've had to pick and choose their moments when they make their moves for certain players, for certain positions. This one, I think they've had to wait for AEK Athens to come to a decision about whether or not they wanted to keep hold of him. I think the Greeks have now decided that he's somebody that they can do without and that they will make available for transfer. So Rangers are going to make their move. Listen, he'll come in, he'll compete with Tuur Romans. I think Tuur Romans needs, frankly, that wee sort of competitive kick up the backside, if you want to put it that way. He was fantastic when he came in last year when he was competing with Jaden Magoma. He's obviously the only left back in the books, the only senior left back in the books. I think there's the young Ashton Scally, the club have got high hopes for, but he's out injured at the moment. And right now, I think you can see that he needs somebody to push him, because I don't think he's been quite at the levels he's at last year. So James Penrice coming in will go a long way to sort of giving them that cover on the left-hand side, which they're really, really short on right now. And also, the hope would be we get Tuur Romans back to the kind of levels that he was at last year. But yeah, I mean, Keith's right. I mean, there is certainly still huge gaps in this Rangers squad that need filled. The frustration is obviously that it wasn't done for day one, but that was never going to happen. You've got a World Cup summer where Rangers are in the pecking order, the food chain. They're always going to be waiting for deals elsewhere to sort of spark the sort of domino effect when they can then get themselves involved. So as frustrating as it is, the way that the season started, this was always going to be the case. Rangers were going to have to wait till late in the window to get the guys that they wanted in. James Penrice, I say, has been somebody that's been on the radar for a long, long time, but it's only this week that they've been able to get the sort of their ducks in a row and get a deal in place for it.
I think before we delve into the AGM stuff or the general meeting stuff, it's worth pointing out, Dan, that we've got a bonus ball later on in the show, haven't we?
Go on.
Well, have we not got Mick Gannon?
We do indeed, of course we do.
Mick Gannon and Ryan McDonald. But a bit that we should have got into the show yesterday, but for technical issues we couldn't. But I think you caught up with them at Rugby Park after Celtics won at the weekend. So we've got that later on in the show. But Dan, do you want to lead the questioning with Andy? Andy, I'll start. See with the meeting today. What was the temperature in the room? And I don't mean kind of physically. What was it like? Was there a bit of needle in the air? Were they well received, Andrew?
Listen, I remember I was sitting at the game yesterday, and we were speaking to people around the club, and even they get the sense that the atmosphere today would really much depend on what happened yesterday. And obviously the result went against Rangers, went against Derek McInnes, and that you could definitely feel that. I think there's two things to consider. This was an AGM or a shareholder meeting that the new owners didn't have to do. They've obviously taken the club from being a publicly limited company to a private company, so therefore there's no necessity upon them to have no legal obligation to hold an annual general meeting. But they've given us all this undertaking that they will update the shareholders on a yearly basis in the traditional format, and that's what they did. So I think they deserve credit for that, and I think the fans appreciated that. Listen, there's no doubt the way that the new Americans come in, they are very slick in the way they present things, but there is huge question marks over the way that they have allowed the running of Rangers to go over the last 12 months. I wrote a piece for the website. You're talking about 3 managers, over £60 million spent, dozens of players signed, and who've been allowed to leave the club, 0 trophies. I mean, that is the bare facts of their year in charge so far. And it's pretty much been a dog's dinner. So, they come across, they say all the right things, but when it comes to the brass tacks of it, they haven't performed. They haven't got Rangers to where they said they wanted to get Rangers to. But then, to be fair to Andrew Kavanagh, he appreciates that. He came across, he said words are cheap. He understands that the only thing that is going to matter to Rangers fans is in winning games and winning trophies. Now, I think this is where the fans, there's definite frustration in the room, especially around, the sort of usual stuff, referees and disputes with the SPFL and VAR and things like that. But the real thing that got under their skin is recruitment. They were quizzing that time and time again during the meeting. They faced it all down. As I said, I think they're still talking about bringing in, obviously, Driouech coming in. And I think they're looking at another 4 players. So you're looking at maybe James Penrice being the left back. I think they'll want another winger. You're right. I think they'll want another right winger to compete with Daisuke Yokota. I think they'll want another midfield option, depending what happens with Nico Raskin. And listen, depending what happens with Yusuf Chamiti, we're still waiting for news on the scan that he was getting today after his knee injury picked up yesterday. They might have to go and replace him as well. So there's still plenty of work to be done. But that's what Andrew Kavanagh was pains to stress today, was that the unfortunate nature of the transfer window means that you're never, and as I was saying earlier on, you're never going to get everything done for day one. You're always going to have to wait until the end of the window, inevitably, because that's when deals in England get done and that's when the trickle-down effect comes in. The unfortunate thing for that is that Rangers get hugely important games, especially European games. These are the most important games of their season in some ways.